Doctor Strange casts a forbidden spell that opens the doorway to the multiverse, including alternate versions of himself, whose threat to humanity is too great for the combined forces of Strange, Wong, and the Scarlet Witch. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Movies. My name is George McHale. I'm a comic book writer, and today we're talking Doctor Strange. I am joined by novelist Andrew Buckley, writer-illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK, and Merc Publishing editor-in-chief Murphey. All right, everyone, thanks for being on the show, and let's get into it. This is a spoiler-filled review of the new Doctor Strange movie. So let's get into it. What's the good? What do you guys like about this one?
Flesh cloak. Evil Doctor Strange multi-handed flesh cloak was a visual that I immediately thought to myself, I wish I had thought of that. I wish I had drawn that. Let's do away with that flying blanket of his and let's let him have the flesh cloak from now on.
I like the flying carpet regular cloak. Cloaky, as I like to call him. I think he's cool. For me, like in the good, it's just Doctor Strange as a character himself. He's arrogant and aloof, and he's kind of flawed, and it works for me. Because he's good at what he does. Like he works hard to like be an excellent surgeon, and then become like a master magician, master of the mystic arts, and it works for me that he's got this confidence about him.
Well, and I love that they have the whole plot point that comes up in I think it was the Spider-Man, where he kind of offhandedly is like, well, I would have been Sorcerer Supreme if I didn't go away for 5 years. And you can kind of tell they've got that, like, they're friendly, but he kind of definitely holds that against Wong. It's kind of like always like in the background when they like talk to each other, like especially with this one with Wong being like, you're supposed to bow when you see me. I love that.
I also like that there was a spiritual successor to Tony Stark in Doctor Strange's beard. It seemed that he now goes to Tony Stark's beard barber and is just like rocking the Stark beard. Did anyone else feel that? I was like a little bit affected by in the wedding scene where he like turns to profile and I'm like, wait, that's Stark's beard. What is happening? No, maybe it's nanites. Maybe they're left over from Stark Tech nanites made his beard, and that's like a reveal for the third movie.
Did we run out of good things that we're talking about facial hair already? The Illuminati. That was the big talked about thing is in the trailer was like, oh my God, who's going to be in the Illuminati? Is it going to be, Invincible Iron Man, or is it going to be Professor X or whatever else? What did you guys think of the lineup that they released?
I liked it a lot. I also like them making fun of Black Bolt's head fork, which is the silliest design of all designs, and they just like went comics, like full-on comics design, dumb fork on his head, and they just owned it, made fun of it, and wow, when he dies, it's gross.
Yeah, no, his head blowing up when his mouth is gone. That was dope. No, it was kind of right out of the Matrix when like Neo's mouth is gone, but still, I loved it. I love seeing Patrick Stewart as Professor X again. When that 90s animated X-Men theme comes in and he's in the yellow chair, I'm like, yes, this is awesome. And it felt like Professor X when he says, just because someone stumbles and loses their way doesn't mean they're lost forever. Man, I had the feels, like this was cool. And seeing John Krasinski as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, I audibly kind of squealed in the movie theater.
But also, what a goddamn liar. John, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but you are a liar. How many press junkets have you given where you denied that was real? It looked us right in the heart and said, no, I haven't talked to anyone. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It'd be great. It'd be nice.
What a great reveal. And the costume and everything was amazing. And George, were you sitting behind me? Because the guy behind us had an orgasm when that occurred. And it was audible. It was very loud.
Well, another good that I can't believe didn't come up like immediately is Marvel horror. You know, I thought that they balanced it pretty well. It was cool. There was a moment. I can't even remember what it was, but there was a moment where I actually kind of like had like a little jump scare, which I'm usually not like a big jump scare person, but as long like if it's just like one here and there, like I think that they can be used if they're done right. And I really love having, especially Scarlet Witch as like a horror, like with that whole magic of the mystical art, like to take that and make it horror. There's so many cool, dark concepts that you could do with it, you know?
I was saving the horror talk for the bad.
No. Come on.
Yeah, well, here's why. Let me tell you why. Speaking of being lied to, I brought my 2 kids to this movie.
Oh.
Because the marketing seemed to suggest that we should bring our kids to this movie. And there were a lot of people with young kids at this movie who were very upset. But my own kids, in their own words, said, Dad, that was not a kid's movie. There are things in there we can't unsee.
Well, and with that, you know, and this is, I'm not going to totally dive into the bad, but I will say that my very first thought about it was like, why wasn't this R-rated? It would have been an awesome R-rated movie. Like they could have leaned way more into it. You know, I'll get more into those points later, but I definitely understand that, your point.
Oh, for me, I like the horror elements, the style of it. Sam Raimi's twisted black horror fingers are just all over this. And it's so much fun with the silly Evil Dead vibes. And like I don't know, this, I'm still blown away by it, but this callback of like setting up the dead Doctor Strange at the beginning of the movie and then using that as a callback, like, you know, to reanimate that corpse at the end. And I knew there was a zombie Doctor Strange from the trailers, and I didn't think that it was possible that it was a good guy that was a zombie Doctor Strange. It just blew my mind. I'm
right there with you, George. I was super pumped that the like Chekhov's corpse pays off at the end of this movie. I also was convinced from the trailers that the villain was an evil Doctor Strange, that the big red mist creature in the opening fight scene was his evil red cloak. Like I was putting all the pieces together. I'm like, oh, it's going to be such an evil Doctor Strange. I cannot wait. So that was a pretty great thing. Even though I'd read some spoilers that said, oh, Scarlet Witch is probably the bad. I was like, no, evil zombie Strange. And then, yeah, I didn't see that coming right away either. And I should have.
To play off your point there, Greg, though, like I brought my 9-year-old with me and she loved it. Like, and it wasn't too scary for her. Like she got a little nervous, but it didn't kind of push the limits for me and for her.
Clearly your 9-year-old and my 9-year-old, yours would win in a fight. I think.
George, you also write horror comic books.
True, she's entrenched in it.
Your kid is a little bit more involved in that genre than the normal 9-year-old.
With all due respect, I also write horror stuff, so much so that my kids say, Dad, are you working on Eye Collector right now? And they won't come into the studio.
Well,
they don't want to see it. They do not want to see that
from
shit.
It.
Right? Yeah.
George, is your kid real creepy? I mean, like, what's the story there?
Yeah, no, she's like a wimp. Like the scariest thing that she'd ever seen up until this point was Gremlins, and but she could handle it. Her favorite part though was seeing Agent Carter on screen, or Captain Carter rather. Seeing what's Haley Atwell like, you know, embody like for the first time like in live action. Her version of like Captain America is just, it was cool. And I liked her death scene too, like with the getting cut in half with the shield. I just wish that Illuminati section of the movie would have lasted a bit longer.
It seemed weird that Agent Carter would be one of the last ones standing.
I thought that too.
And not Mr. Fantastic. We just see Mr. Fantastic turn into, as my kids said it, he turned into cheese strings and then died.
I called it, he got spaghettified. And yeah, the fact that we didn't get to see him stretch.
Yeah, he didn't stretch once.
Yeah. No, and this is, I can't go too much into this unless we're going to step into the bad.
Well, no. You know, he was stretching. He was stretching before the movie started as a goddamn liar.
Oh my God.
He was stretching.
Why are you so hurt by this?
I guess he's fantastic at that.
So seeing John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic was fantastic. But something else that's fantastic is Merc Publishing has come to a local comic book store near you. Murphy, can you tell us a little bit about what our viewers should ask their local comic book store to bring in for them?
Yes, of course. Miss Meow is hitting stores in June. We are super excited. Miss Meow number 2 and Death Race number 1 are going to be in stores in August. You guys have until June 12th to pre-order those. There's all new interiors for Miss Meow. It's completely new, a completely new interior art and an updated script. And the same thing, Death Race number 2 has 4 additional pages in it. I'm really excited for you guys to see what we have coming for you to stores.
Yeah, absolutely. These are great books. I've checked out the Kickstarters, and now that they're coming into stores, I'm super excited for this additional content too. So make sure you ask your local comic book retailer to bring in the Merc Publishing titles. With that, let's get into the bad now. What did we not like about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
I had issues not with the movie itself, because it's a self-contained movie, loved it. But this is supposed to be, now we're so used to this being part of a much longer form narrative, and it doesn't fit as well as it should. Because we had a whole TV show called WandaVision, where, you know, Scarlet Witch did all this bad crap and learned a lesson at the end. But then this movie would indicate that she did not learn any lesson in the end. So it kind of negates everything that came beforehand.
I have that is my main issue with this, is that, yeah, you know, at the end of WandaVision, she walks away from this town knowing that she's done something awful, and she makes it seem like she wants to, if not make up for it, like move past it. I'm not mad that she is the villain in this movie. She wasn't villainous. You know, the whole movie, she just wants her kids, and she's doing these like really fucked up things for something that she's already gone through.
Yeah,
And
she's mama
then,
bearing it through the whole movie.
And it's, you know, they talk about how, oh, the Scarlet Witch is, you know, she could be, if she gets this, you know, if she gets this book, then she could try to control the entire multiverse. Like, yeah, why didn't she do that? Why couldn't we get a cool battle of the Scarlet Witch actually being this dark, ominous, frightening, unstoppable force, and then have like a battle of the Wanda within that did learn a lesson? And then maybe that like is a part of it. And it just, you know, we got that one really cool scene with Professor X, you know, kind of going into her head, and then she disappears back into the realm. Like we should have gotten, that should have been way more of a focus. I just think she wasn't villainous enough. Like she got robbed. Her whole storyline of WandaVision was just kind of like, let's do that again.
They tried to make the Darkhold the villain halfway through the movie. Instead of making the Darkhold the big evil book that's the source of all these terrible things, but really only a copy, and we'll go to the source later. They tried to make that bad too late. I feel like they needed to introduce the concept of the Darkhold earlier in order to make Wanda's switch make more sense. Because we see Doctor Strange affected by it. Everyone who touches the book gets turned. But we didn't see her touch the book at the beginning, really. I feel like that was the missing piece to make it a more understandable movie.
That was at the end of WandaVision, though. That was the cutscene at the end of WandaVision where she's floating and she's theoretically dreamwalking and holding a copy of the Darkhold.
What do you guys think about them bringing back Christine and making that such kind of like a really integral part of this entire storyline?
I like that because he doesn't deserve her. She's too good. But really, right? Like, he is kind of a dick, and he's got his Tony Stark beard and his Tony Stark attitude, but his magic powers. And he hasn't earned that side of happiness. And I mean, that's the theme of the movie, really.
Rachel McAdams is probably done, I think, with the series. Like that, essentially, especially because of the cutscene with what's her name, the chicken purple,
Clea, right? So Rachel McAdams, Christine, like, I just don't care. Like, honestly, she's boring. Doctor Strange needs like a cool magic girlfriend, not, you know, the nurse. I didn't like America Chavez either. I didn't think she had much personality. She's just a kid that didn't, you know, was looking for a mom. But
I have one of my gripes is how they did the thing with her where she doesn't know how to control her power the whole movie, and then at the end someone says, "You can do it," and then she can do it.
Yeah, totally.
That's such a Marvel trope. They do that all the time.
Well, I mean, they didn't like show her practicing even once. Like, it's just kind of like, I can't do it. I can.
But also, Wong is like a total punk in this one. He's supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme, but that is like just a title only, because he can't even fly up the mountain to go and fight Wanda. He's just hanging onto that mountain for like half the movie. And I'm just like, it's so stupid.
They establish in a line of dialogue, tossed away, probably edited in ADR later, that my magic doesn't work here. Remember?
Right.
We're
Well,
not meant to fly to this mountain.
like kind of biggest gripe with it isn't really a fault of the movie itself. It's just that I wanted more. I wanted more multiverses. I wanted more madness. I wanted more cameos. I wanted like cameos like I wanted Nick Cage, Ghost Rider. I wanted, Ben Affleck, Daredevil, just like crazy Howard the Duck. I wanted to show up, just like stuff that you wouldn't expect to see. And that's not really a fault of the movie, but I just wanted it to be bigger in scope.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's part of the reason why I think that it really should have been a rated R movie. Like they could have done so much more. They could have killed people a lot faster and just moved on from a lot of scenes. Like
you're so right, Murphy. You're so 100% right. If it had been R-rated, you could have had way more cameos, and all those people could have just been bursting and exploding, and Affleck Daredevil could have just been torn to shreds. That would have been actually amazing.
Yeah.
Let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for Doctor Strange. I'll go first. I felt it was like a fun romp through the MCU. Nice to see alternate versions of our favorite Marvel characters and spend time with Benedict Cumberbatch's curmudgeoned, flawed master of the mystic arts. I give it an A-. I really enjoyed it. Like, I really, really liked it. I wanted more, but that's not really a fault of the movie. That's my own expectations. So overall, I liked it quite a lot.
This movie features the Darkhold, which is the source of vampires in the Marvel Universe, and they made no reference or lead into Blade. I thought for sure that's where they were going. They didn't. And Wondergore, unless I am completely wrong, I could check my Marvel Universe handbook. I probably should have before I did this. That's where the High Evolutionary makes all of his weird mutant things, and not the place where evil magic is stored. So there's like some weird references all mixed up that I now feel like I have to go do my nerd homework to find out about.
No, you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right on both accounts.
And I will give it 3 out of 5 pizza balls. 3 or 5 pizza balls. You should pay for those, though. Also, you should pay for those pizza balls.
As a movie, I really liked it. As an ongoing narrative of the MCU, it leaves me a little bit confused. And Sam Raimi just literally went on record to say that he didn't watch all of WandaVision, just the pertinent parts. So that probably explains a lot. So I give it 4.5 cloaks made entirely out of demon creatures out of 5.
I'm gonna give it 4 out of 6 breaking the fourth wall shots. It was all right. It was fun. It left a lot to be desired.
All right, that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. And a reminder, ask your local comic book store to bring in the Merc Publishing titles, Miss Meow, Born in Blood, and Death Rage. Until next time, I've been George McHale, joined by Andrew Buckley, GMB CHOMICHUK, and Murphy. There's links to all of our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter accounts. Go ahead and follow us on our comic book and writing adventures. Until next time. Peace.